At some point, I even was thinking about going to Brazil. I was a little scared with 18 and I didn't know the language or anything, so that was one of the main reasons I thought Ireland was a nice fit.
You've been already to Dublin or in Ireland alone. You are in Prague again alone.
I mean, I was lucky because basically before anything really bad could happen, people intervened because they didn't want to believe me.
And it's not bought from the darknet?
Yeah, that's nice, but I don't need that because I can get the passport. And he was like, no, you can't. Like, yes, I true. I was like, no, you can't. I also think home can be more than one places. And actually, it's not just it is where the family is, but it also is I feel home here.
Julia, good evening. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Julia, I'm extremely happy to kick off the discussion. I'm always happy to kick off a discussion with someone who left the country that I managed to come in, because it's interesting for me to understand what's different in the other country. But before we go into the detail, I would kindly ask you to introduce yourself and say when you are originally from and where you are living in at the moment.
Okay. So I am originally from Germany. That's where I was born and that's where I grew up. Although I have to say upfront, my mom is from the Czech Republic, which is also where I'm living now. So that might already answer some questions there. But yeah, so I grew up in Germany. After high school, I've went to Ireland for an internship, but I studied in Germany again. And after my studies, I moved to Ireland and worked there for a couple of years before moving to the Czech Republic, to Prague, where I live now. I am studying right now and working too. So after my work in Ireland, I founded my own company. So I'm working in Prague, but also studying and doing my master's degree here. So,
Congratulations, first of all, for being your own employee, because that's an important step.
All one, but yeah.
Julia, the big question, the first question, why Ireland for internship? Was something that you chose, or it was somehow coming up from the school?
It kind of was a mixture of several things. So I knew I wanted to, because I did a gap year after my high school. I wasn't 100% sure what I want to do yet. At that time, I was thinking about studying in England. So something in that area maybe was interesting for me, but I just wasn't sure. At some point, I even was thinking about going to Brazil for a few weeks or months and work at a German school there. But I decided against it because I was a little scared with 18 and I didn't know the language or anything. So that was one of the main reasons I thought Ireland was a nice fit, because it's not that far away. If something happens, I can go home easily. I know the language. And my internship, my dad actually told me about this internship opportunity at the German-Irish Chamber of Commerce, because he met someone at his work who worked there, who told him that they're always looking for interns, that they are always on the lookout, basically. So that's how I found out about it and decided, why not? I did want to go kind of I wasn't sure about what direction I even wanted to study. I was thinking about business, law, philosophy, everything. And in the chamber, I had the opportunity to also kind of look into different areas. So I looked at marketing, I looked at law, and all these things. So I thought it was a nice possibility. And I've never been there before, so why not?
I have to say that this gap year that I constantly hear about in Germany, as I most probably you know already, I come from Romania, and we don't have this gap year as a rule. So it says that you are starting directly, and I think this gap year is extremely important in exactly what you have done, this decision making process. Because come on, with 18 you have no idea what you want to study. You have no idea, like.
Especially.
Everything that you know is like, I want to be a fireman, or I don't know, a policeman, the thing that you had when you were a kid, but that's it, or a doctor, and that's not much than that. How was Ireland for you? Were you 18 when you went into the Ireland?
Yes.
So I guess it was Dublin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I have to say, any experience in Dublin is a positive one based off my experience until now, but let's hear yours.
I'm not sure about that, to be honest. Actually, I've heard a lot of negative experiences in Dublin, but even the people that had negative experiences do kind of see the positive in Dublin as well, I have to say. Because it is I really like the city in terms, especially with like freshly 18, as an 18-year-old, it was the perfect city, I think, because I didn't grow up in a city. I came from like a smaller town, so I was happy to finally be in a city. But it's a small city, so it's not like you get lost or anything. It's really walkable, which I loved. It's right at the sea. There are some small mountains, but there's still mountains, so you can hike a little bit if you like that. So there's a lot of things. I feel like everything you need is there. And the people are extremely friendly and open. And I think that's until this point, like every time I'm anywhere in the world, even like in my first few weeks in Prague, I went to a bar and I randomly started talking to this old, guy at the bar. And he was like, it was like an older man who kept telling like me and my friend about the architecture here, because he's from Ireland, just visiting for his job, and how beautiful it is, and kept telling us about the history, because we also said we just moved here, so we're also very excited. Turns out, obviously, he was Irish. And that's like an experience I have a lot. Also, like in my vacation in Portugal, I met random girls, and it's always the Irish people that talk to you, and in the nicest way. And it doesn't feel this kind of fake friendliness. It just feels like they're really open, really nice. They want to help you. So that's really helpful when you're starting somewhere, like don't know anyone. So yeah, in that terms, I really like the city. But it is very, very expensive. It has some parts, or also Dublin is like, there are some parts of the city you should avoid. I mean, all the cities have it, but I do think Dublin has its problems as well, which is why I think people, like, they love it, then they're staying there for a bit longer, they start to kind of dislike it, and then hopefully you get to the stage again where you start liking it again, so...
My job took me a lot in Dublin, and or the business trips from my job, and I have to say that for me Dublin was always the perfect combination between the American culture with the European city. Like you said, it's walkable, which you don't have in the US, but still you have some parts of US which are there in the culture. I will never know if it's something what the Irish people took at the beginning of the century with them in US, or the other way around. We will never know.
Sure.
And I absolutely know what you mean, because I did a few walks and a few runs in the morning, and I realized that because you are covering a lot of distance when you are doing walks or runs. And I realized that there are a lot of gated communities, not so far away from the city. And then I realized that for sure those gated communities have a reason behind it. And I didn't know these details, but that means you enjoyed your 18, let's say, in the big city, free from parents somehow, which also makes it really nice. How long were you in Dublin?
Just 4 months. So
perfect. Perfect timing, so you don't get to hate it
exactly.
yet. You only see the good part. Then you came back. When you came back, was already idea which was growing in your head not to live in Germany when you finish school or to continue studying in a different country?
Yes, for sure. Um, I think I've always liked the idea of kind of living in different countries and just exploring, because I always feel like you get to know the country and the city on a very different, like in a very different way than if you're on vacation. And I really like that. So I knew right away that I want to do a master's, even though I didn't do it like right away. And I also knew that doing my master's in Germany again would only be a plan B if really nothing else works out, or like even a plan C. Um, because like I liked my studies. I have to say I have like no regrets about studying in Germany. I loved it, but it was enough. So yeah, I again I didn't know exactly where to go, where I wanted to go. I had like my plans changed constantly in the time before I started my master's, and the idea to go to Prague was honestly very last minute. For the longest time, I was planning to go to France and like even starting to study a bit of French, but then kind of I just make the decision like, no, actually, that's not what I really want to do, I think.
Were you speaking the language before you decided to go to Prague?
Yes.
Okay. That's, I would say, one piece of advantage.
Yeah, definitely. Well, not perfectly, but that's also like one of the reasons I thought nice, I can at least practice it and learn more.
Was that part of your decision-making process because you said, okay, I think it's going to be easier?
Not necessarily that I thought it was going to be easier. I think it was an argument for me that I can improve my Czech. Just because since it's kind of like it's a part of me, my mom's Czech, I grew up with it. I liked the idea of like experiencing it a little bit more, using it, improving it. But it wasn't an argument against, for example, France, that I didn't the language, because I did also like the people I talked to who studied, for example, at the same school I was thinking about. They told me that it's very international, so I didn't think I'd have any problems with like my English there, and I still wanted to like study French, so it might also have been a good opportunity, of course, to learn the language. So yeah, I guess it was a pro argument, but not a con against the other. So.
Makes sense. Were there any preconceptions that you had in your head about Prague? Was that something that you had as an idea, like I would just call them misconceptions, something that you really thought it's one way and it was completely different when you arrived?
Good question. I mean, I don't think there was any huge thing, just because I've been to Prague before, because I have some family here. I only ever kind of visited as a tourist for like day trips to Prague. So it was kind of nice getting to know the city a bit better, and more than just like the city center of the tourist part. I guess, yeah, you could say that I was positively surprised also about how nice the people, the people that they're actually quite nice in terms of especially if they see you try. Like I said, my Czech isn't perfect. I make a lot of mistakes and I have an awful accent. And I think a lot of people have some like kind of this, this Slavic face that people talk about, that they kind of look a little grumpy or like don't talk to me kind of attitude. But it's really not like that if you like once you start, and not even that they have to warm up to you, but like as soon as you start talking, most of the people, my experience was that they're actually really nice. And they really want to help you too. So even when I go in restaurants or something, for example, and I try, like I want to speak Czech, and I just start talking, and I don't feel like I have any trouble communicating what I want, but they hear my accent or I do the mistake, and they directly start talking English, but smiling, oh, no worries, and it's everything. I'm like, yeah, that's really nice, but I do want to try, you know? So, and that's happening all the time. So it's not just, I think, yeah, and maybe even that, that I thought maybe the English would be worse here, like that the people wouldn't speak as good English. But like I said, like they just switch instantly and don't care. Like, no, don't even try. Like,
I
okay.
think I think everyone that I had until now in the podcasts told exactly the same story, that everyone is switching directly to English. Like, no, but I want to try. No, just don't worry, it's okay. And it was also my story when I first came to Germany. I didn't speak the language, and everyone was. Of course, after a while, you start trying, because for me it's a sign of respect for the country that you live in. And everyone's saying, no, but switch to English is faster. Yeah, but I know, but they're like this, I will never start speaking. And I absolutely know what you mean. What was was there any culture shock for you? Because the difference is not so big. Uh,
Yeah, I don't think there was, because like I said, also since my mom's Czech,
mm-hmm.
I kind of already was like I was already in touch with the culture. I kind of knew. I mean, I know there were like a few smaller things where I was surprised, like where I called my mom, like, "Oh, I didn't know you do that here." And she's like, "Oh,
What?
yeah, that's normal." But
What?
I'm trying to think of an example, and because it was really just smaller things.
Was
But
there something that she told you they do and they did it? Like the other way around?
uh, I mean, not necessarily that they do what they didn't, but they didn't, but kind of a little bit in that way is the way the people talk, and not just like I thought, or like I told my mom, oh, I feel like the Czech people like they swear so much when talking. And it seemed like since I only ever talked to my mom or maybe my grandpa and Czech, I was like, oh, like in every second sentence, there's like, I don't know. And she was like, yeah, but I mean, probably just the younger generation, you know, because like it's also in Germany, you know, all the people with, have like some filler words they use that are not necessarily like bad words, but it kind of sounds a little off. But then I also met like I even had kind of like a job interview, and in between he got a phone call and started talking, and he did the same thing. And I think I think that was a bit of a culture shock, that the way, like, especially also in like this whole work and even at uni, I think Germans are a little, you know, very a little stuck up maybe.
So, two things. Eastern Europe has a culture of swearing. I must say that. I must state here. I have to state here. It doesn't matter if it's Poland, if it's Romania, if it's Hungary, if it's Czech Republic. We have a culture of swearing. We use filler words. We miss the punctuation mark and we replace it with swear words. We do everything. That's the first thing. And second, what I want to tell you about German culture, what for me was a shock, and it kind of still is, learning the language, is that shit is so normalized. Like, it doesn't matter if it's radio, if it's TV, if it's doesn't matter what it is. And I think this is what was missing for you, because nobody was using those words with you, and when you hear them was that's, and like you said, you had to talk to your parents, you talk to your mother, with your grandpa. Oh, come on! I mean, they control themselves. I do it. I do it with my kid as well. So
Exactly. And I thought that was a really good kind of comparison when what my brother told me once when he spent a bit more time in the Czechia, and someone told him he speaks like a 40-year-old woman. And he's like, well, of course I do. I only talk to like a 40, 50-year-old woman, you know? Like, how am I supposed to talk?
Oh, this was really good. This was really good.
So that was a bit of a and it's like I once you get used to it, it's kind of nice. The people are way like more chill and relaxed and easygoing. Even like at work, at uni, even the professors, it's way less formal than it is in Germany. But yeah.
I have to ask you a different one now. You have seen the Irish culture, which is also relaxed based on my experience. So official, we don't talk about official offices and so on, but generally it's a relaxed culture. How do you see the difference between the two of them?
Well, I think the Irish. It's hard to put into words because it feels different. But how can I put it? I mean, to be fair, I think it might be also a little hard for me to compare like Irish because I was like living in a very international environment there.
Dublin.
So that's of course maybe like people will think like that's not true, but my experience is that there in Ireland it's a bit more after work. Like at work it's still kind of it's very friendly and everything, but still kind of like I don't think you would like use any swear words or something like that. So it's more like that. And then I mean the people like Irish people talking together, if they're like really friends, that can also be like a lot. But I don't think they would just casually talk to like use this kind of language if they just met you. And that's how I felt, at least. Maybe it's because I was like a foreigner or something, but I feel like they were a little more held back when it came to that, and more like this. What's such a good mood? What are your plans? Where are you from? What is happening? And just kind of joking around. And in the Czech Republic, it's just this constant kind of chill, I think, vibe in a way. Like it doesn't really make such a big difference if you're at work or not. It's like that's I mean it's like I haven't really worked here, so it's hard. Of course, I don't want to just generalize.
Yeah, but you studied, and I mean it's the same. And I think what I understand is you're saying it's a soft separation between private and business. Let's say it like this. It's not a hard cut like German hard cut.
Yeah. I think that's kind of it. But like I said, it's hard to put in words.
Yeah, but I know what you mean. I do agree with you, because I do remember the Irish colleagues who were always like in the office, everything was fine, especially if they met you then the first time. Of course, the guys that I constantly meet again and again, it's different, completely different, but the people that you first meet, they are keeping the, let's say, the respectful distance. I will not say distance, but it's just a respectful distance.
Yeah. And the Czech people I met were more like, it was quicker that they warmed up, kind of talked more casually to, or like almost like they knew you for a longer time.
What was the hardest adjustment in the daily life in Prague for you? So I'm not talking about the culture shock, but something which was completely different than it was in Germany. I don't know, food, transportation, maybe papers. How complicated it was to get the papers, by the way, because I forgot to ask.
It wasn't complicated because I do have like the Czech nationality, but it was hard explaining to the officials that I do have this nationality because they didn't want to believe me.
And it's not bought from the darknet?
Yeah, because like I don't have a passport. I still need to go get my I can get a Czech passport because I have like the citizenship. And And I had to go to kind of like this foreign police station basically to like, get the documents. And they told me that I can go to this, I don't even know, foreign other office to get like this other paperwork for like foreigners in the Czech Republic. And I told them like, yeah, that's nice, but I don't need that because I can get the passport. And he was like, no, you can't. Like, is that true? I was like, no, you can't. And I was really like having this full-on discussion with him that like, and he's like, how do you like, why would you think that? Like, well, because my mom is Czech and she like, I have the like in the Czech Republic, you get kind of like a birth number, it's called, I think, which is like for all these, probably something like a social security number.
Yeah.
I have that and everything. Like, I can do it. I have it. And he's like, okay. And like, and I think he just gave up, but still didn't believe me because he was like, okay, you know, if you think you can get the passport, you can go here. If it turns out you can't, you still have to go there. Like, okay, thanks.
I just want to say in Germany we don't call it birth number, we call it Steuer ID.
Yeah, so
Because in Germany it's important we pay taxes.
yeah,
I'm just joking, of course.
that's fair.
So to come back to the initial question, what was the hardest adjustment in daily life, Julia?
I think for me personally, it is it's nothing in terms of like transportation or something like that, because the transportation is amazing. I've never had better transportation than in Prague. But it's more kind of, for example, like at getting to know like the Czech people like closer, like not just on this kind of superficial level. Because I sometimes like I'm still very insecure about my Czech. So even though like with my family and everything, I talk in Czech, I can have a conversation. I still kind of don't want to like I get kind of scared and start talking English to them. And that way, kind of in their mind, okay, I just can't speak Czech, so they have to speak English. And sometimes it feels like then you would like, especially if it's a group just with Czech people and you're the one kind of there as well. And I always try to tell them like, you can talk Czech, I don't mind, but it always feels like they think it's almost annoying. Okay, there's another person we might have to speak in English kind of. And so I think that's kind of a little bit something I'm struggling with. So kind of getting the confidence to actually speak with the people, kind of get to know, and that way get to know them a bit better. So yeah, I think that's the main thing, because it's always a little bit this kind of, okay, but you're still the German one, even though like I'm half German, but no, that's the German one.
I see what you're saying, because at the end you only know that those person when you are able to communicate with them in their language. So everything else, it's like you feel it's superficial, even though it might not be, but you feel it's superficial.
Yeah, I mean, not with everyone, of course, but I think it's getting more kind of difficult when there's really this group of people who all speak this language. Yeah.
So you arrive in Prague, and you said you studied. How different is the education system in Prague compared to Germany, Julia?
It's more different than I thought, because I thought with like in European Union everything is kind of standardized anyway. But I was surprised how intense it is, to be honest. I thought it'd be a little more relaxed. Especially like the last semester, I was so stressed because it was a lot of group works and assignments and everything. Like it was way more. I think the workload was way more than from my German university at that time. Not necessarily like harder, but just like the sheer workload made it way more complicated. And the attendance is way more important here. Like in German universities, it's up to you. It's your responsibility to pass the course. If you don't go to lectures, that's your fault. But here, like, if you don't go, you will fail. Like, they'll just not let you take the exams. They will give you a worse grade. Like, it's really important to them. And here we have a system, basically, that for most of my classes, I have 2 kind of lessons per week. One is the lecture and one is a seminar. Yeah, so I didn't know that from Germany. Which, I mean, I think is really interesting because you get a little more, really practically used.
But I see the pattern with Romania, I have to say, because I see the pattern. So of course I had 2 experiences with universities in Romania, and one of them was the technical one. So those were 2 kinds of. You had a lecture, and the other one was called a laboratory. Which, because it was more practical due to the fact that it was a technical university, and the other one, which was business, it was lecture and a seminar, and the lecture was in a big round, so you had all the groups of 1 year having one lecture at the same time, and then the seminar was in small groups, like you had the opportunity to deep dive into the topic. Is the same?
In theory, yes. In practice, a lot of times the seminar is the same group like the lecture. But to be fair, because like the course I'm studying, they have basically 2 versions of it, one in Czech and one in English. And I'm doing the English one, and that one is way smaller. So I think we're just 40 people.
Okay.
So even if we're like everyone, it's still not a huge group. They try to split it, but it's not always.
And I have to ask, there was a practice in Romania, in Romania's university. I don't know if it's there still today at the lectures. It was hard to check who was there and who was not, and they were starting a blanco page from the left, from the down row into the seminar room, and everyone was supposed to write his name on the blanco, and to pass the paper until the last row. And if the teacher was I don't want to say asshole, but asshole, then he was randomly reading 10 names from the list. Do you have this?
No,
Yeah.
no. We had like 1 or 2 teachers who had like the paper where you had to sign, but he would never do like that. But it is like digitally now, so you get like a QR code that you have to
Okay.
scan, which you could theoretically, of course, also kind of cheat somehow. But I think there were also like some incidents where they found out that some people cheated, and I don't even know what they did, but they did something. And I have one professor, for example, where you also have to basically sign in online. And whenever there's like, and he's kind of trusting you, to be honest. But whenever there's like, or like randomly, or when there's fewer people there or whatever, he will go through, like manually go through attendance, and after class look at, like, compare. And if it doesn't match up, you will lose your points for the whole attendance of the whole semester, because it's like, okay, I trusted you, that's what you get.
And there was another thing which was really now I go back into memories, but there was another thing which was kind of a painful thing in the technical university. If you missed, you were allowed to miss 1 laboratory in the semester, and every other laboratory that you were missing, you had to pay for, and you had to go to it another year or another class to do the laboratory, because otherwise you're not allowed to go into the exam.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it was expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember, but when you're a student, everything is expensive. But but
I can't complain now. No, it's not that bad then.
yeah, yeah. I'm sorry for taking that, but I just remembered it's somehow the same. The
Yeah.
same. the fact that it's intense, I think it also comes a bit from the Eastern European mentality, because we ask a lot. There is a lot to be asked in schools, and there are a lot of general knowledge which I don't see in Germany. So that there is in Germany, when you have a specialty that you are going on, then you are really focusing on that. But at least what I know it from Romania, you get a lot of general knowledge on the side as well. Is the same in Czech Republic, or is it different?
I wouldn't say that it was because I think topic wise, like it was sometimes even less like depending on the class.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was, I wouldn't say it was generally more that you learned. I think it was just more kind of group works and assignments and presentations and everything like that. So like in Germany, I knew it, you would have like one paper for the class or one presentation. And here I had one class where there was a presentation every single week, basically. So that was insane. And then it felt like you got like this list of things you have to do for this one class. And especially since it was my first semester, I didn't know like how strict they are with grading. My impression now is that they ask for more kind of basically work input, but they are very nice when it comes to grading in most cases.
Okay.
So as long as you basically deliver, you're okay. But also like another thing that was different was that here like oral exams are also a thing, which in Germany I only know from like Abitur, so like the high school, where you have one oral exam and otherwise you wouldn't have it. And here then it's like you have a presentation, you have a paper, you have a midterm, and then you have an oral exam at the end. And then also I'll have a state exam, which in Germany you only have if you study medicine, law, or want to be a teacher. So that was crazy to me. Like I didn't even know when I started, to be honest, that I kind of have to do it. And I think that's also one of the reasons why the professors were a bit stricter last semester, because those were kind of the classes that will be covered in the state exam, and they kept saying, oh, you wouldn't pass with this in the state exam, so that's why, we don't want to give you a bad impression, basically, of what it's enough to study. So this semester, for example, it already feels kind of much more relaxed, kind of, again, also I adjusted, kind of know how much I really, like, how much effort I have to put into the work to actually kind of, for it to be good enough, kind of. But yeah, it's...
Do you think that someone, and now you have seen both models of studying, Julia, but how can I formulate the question? Because I want to ask a tricky question. I don't know how to formulate it. Okay, I'm trying to make it a story. Always when I say the story that I studied in Romania, everything, I have the feeling that it's not that it's not considered to be a good university, but it's always that feeling that, for sure it was something like not some fake university or something. And I cannot tell the story. Like, this is what you said, that we had to do laboratory, we had to do midterms, we had to do oral exams. And whenever he had the mood to ask you some questions and grade you, and you couldn't do anything about it. And if I tell all these stories, I said, and nobody, I mean, how could you tell to one employer? Because that's the biggest question, right? The employer is seeing your resume and said, okay, you had the university in my case, in Cluj. What kind of university is that? How can you convince him that it's hard to pass there as well?
Yeah, that's a really good point, because I have the same, like, I really get it. And I have to say, I'm guilty of the same thing, to be fair, right? Because I thought it's gonna be way like more relaxed, so, and I think a lot of times, even like my friends from Germany, when I kept telling them in the first semester how stressed I am and how much work it is and how hard it is, they just kept looking at me like, huh? No, you like, nah. It's like, yeah, I really get it. And I think it's a really hard thing if they don't like have experienced it themselves, because it's just like this it's just a worse reputation if it's kind of everything that's kind of eastern of Germany, it's like, I don't know.
Exactly.
So it is a hard, I don't know, I think, yeah. I wish I could answer it, to be honest.
I have no answer as well. I have no, because the thing is that so for example, the university the technical one that I finished, and the other one, the business one, both of them are renowned universities, are big universities, and Cluj is a big university city, but nobody cares. Like, you cannot explain that to someone born and raised in Germany who thinks, come on, you did it in Romania. Come on, for sure you paid 2,000 euros and that was it.
Yeah, I mean, at least maybe there's like some rankings one can use. I think, especially in Germany, we always stick on numbers, And I don't know. I think what could help, like in my case, for example, is even like just mentioning that I do have a state exam, because that is like whenever I mention that, also because like I said, in Germany, it's just basically the medicine and the lawyer. I'll ignore the teachers for now, just because for the sake of my argument. But like with medicine and law, also people are like, wow, it's so hard, it's so long and everything. So if I really say I have a state exam, the reaction is also a bit more, oh, really? Like, okay. Like even my dad, when I told him about like that I have a state exam, he's like, oh, but it's not called state exam, right? Like it's something like it is like a bigger exam or something. No, it's really a state exam. It's officially called a state exam. And so I think maybe kind of pointing out the things a bit more kind of, I don't know, I think it's hard. I think it's like a bigger thing one would have to work on, kind of establishing a better reputation.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, of course, now in the meantime, I think there are a lot of people finishing those universities working all around Europe, thanks to the border freedom that we have, and I think that's important. But still, it's a complicated question, because you always have prejudices, because this is what the world that we live on, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Julia, I'm asking now, how was the networking part in the let's say the social networking part in Prague?
Like I said, I think I'm making it harder on myself than it has to be. I think I had like it takes some time. It's not so easy for me personally to approach the people if like I said, because of the kind of language barrier, I guess, which I think it almost would be easier if I just be like, oh, I'm just going to talk English to them because I don't know any Czech. But since I'm like, okay, I want to talk Czech to them now, how do I do it? Can I do it now? I'm going to do it another time. So I think I'm making it a little hard on myself in that area anyway. So it was kind of a bit of a harder start, I think. Especially because I was used from Ireland, from like my studies in Germany, that I really quickly basically found my people and just kind of stuck with them. So I think that what made it a bit harder in the beginning, but actually there's a lot of opportunities. I think I just have just have to be more active and kind of just get a bit out of your comfort zone to actually meet people and meet the people you also like enjoy hanging out with, right? Because I don't know, just because you met some nice people at a party that you talked with doesn't mean they're gonna have to be your best friends just because those were the first people you met, right? So what I really enjoy kind of is and there's a lot of kind of opportunities like that right now in Prague as well. And I think it's like an international, like it's starting to be in very many cities, but also in Prague a lot, are these kind of networking events, I guess. For example, what I really enjoyed was Time Left, I think it's called. It's where you basically sign up, take like a personality test, and then you're gonna match with like 5 other people. You don't get basically any information, and you just get like information, okay, at this time, at this day, you got a dinner reservation in this restaurant, and then you just meet them for dinner. And I think that is that was really fun. Like I said, like the first group was kind of nice. It was a nice evening, but we didn't really have that much in common to really do another thing. But then the second time I did it again, it was already like very different, and we vibed really quickly. And I think it's easier to meet other expats or like international people here, because those are the ones that are also kind of new here looking for people. So there's a few influencers, for example, also in Prague that like blog about their life here and everything, and they sometimes organize events. So I also been to something like that, and it's just been international people basically there. So it's really easy to meet international people. I think it's just a bit harder to meet local people. So, yeah.
I had Mariko, I think, on the third episode, if I remember it correctly.
Yeah. She was at the event where I'm
okay.
actually at one of these events. Yeah.
Nice. Mariko, hi. Was a really nice talk. And she said the same, that it's easy to meet people, but it's easy to meet international people. And I think I'm always saying that the downside of this is that if you are not lucky enough, they are temporary there. And you meet someone international, you get a really good connection, you get a really good vibe, you get along, and then saying, yep, I leave.
But I think that's also one of the reasons why it's harder to meet local or like Czech people, because they will think the same about me, right? Because they'd be like,
true.
Hey, what if she's gonna be like gone after the studies? Like, why would I don't want to invest that much time into that then, you know? So
true. That has two sides always. Except the networking, Julia, was it something which was more challenging than the networking part, or would you say that was the hardest part until now?
I think like the part with networking with the locals, like said, or even, it's hard to say kind of to generalize, because it's kind of, on one hand, it's hard to kind of build these deeper relationships. On the other hand, okay, it's maybe also my fault, because I'm always also, I feel like the last weeks, every weekend, I'm kind of busy. So like, how can I really meet other people more often? So it's kind of my own fault. So has something harder. I think other than that, I've been really lucky, to be fair, because I think a lot of the struggles, like I've heard, for example, with the apartment hunting or things like that, I've always kind of been really lucky with that. So I got, for example, a really nice apartment through just contacts, like my cousin so it's obviously always helpful if you know someone.
Every expat which is watching this is gonna hate you.
Yeah.
Every.
I'm sorry. Like, I can't lie. I couldn't give any tips on that. Yeah. I think it's been other than kind of, I think that was kind of my main focus, as in where I put my energy, kind of like building these new relationships again. And also because I tend to make my life easier and just hang out with my family then, So I think that was the hardest part, or is the hardest part still, kind of, because other than that, I think the city is really easy to come to, kind of, because especially if I'm from Germany, it's not like the weather shocked me or something. I know, for example, I have a friend from Cambodia, and when it got she saw snow for the first time here, and when it got cold, she was sick right away for weeks. it's kind of, I mean, even she got used to it now, but in the beginning, I think it was a bit hard for her than it is for me. Um, but yeah, I think it's just kind of the starting, comparing, for example, also to my start in Ireland. I think it was easier to meet the people in Ireland, but but everything else kind of from like moving here, getting from that kind of view, that it's kind of been easier here.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Have you ever had in those hard times in school any moment in which you said, "What the hell was in my mind"?
Good question. Not necessarily, to be fair. I mean, I did have like a few moments where I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I mean, for example, or maybe, I mean, it's also, I'm quite an ambitious person also. Like, I really care about my grades because I think I didn't like go here to do the masters to just kind of,
You are German.
Yeah. Yes. That I've been told. So, yeah. So I made it harder for myself. And I think that was kind of the good thing though, that I knew, okay, what's the worst case? I don't think I'm gonna fail. It's more about kind of how much of a perfectionist I want to be. And I should just chill, kind of. And so I just like at one point I was like, I don't care next semester if like about the group works anymore. If this is how it has, like, I think there was a point where I literally didn't sleep the whole night because I had to finish this project because no one else would do it and we had to hand it in. And so that was, I think, the point where I was like, I don't care anymore. And yeah, I made it harder on myself than it had to be because there was this period for the exams also that spread from December until the end of January. And I was so done with everything that I was like, I want to have the earliest time possible. And that was a great thing here that we don't have in Germany. You get to choose when you want to take the exam within the period, like, or you have several time slots. In Germany, it's just like one day and that's where you have to take it. So I just kind of pushed everything as far as to the front as I could. So I at least had like a whole month of freedom, which I've never had in my German studies. So I loved that. So it kind of was worth it again. And I knew I had something to look forward to. But no, I don't like, there was at no point I thought I regretted it or something. I always, because I do, and like the city is so beautiful, you know, endowed. Like if you can afford it at that time, time wise, I'd be like, okay, I'm just gonna go. I'm also lucky I have like a park close by where I live. So I was like, okay, just gonna go get a matcha latte, you know, treat myself and just calm down.
Chill. I have a, you know, is the grade system also in Czech Republic from 1 to 10?
No, it's similar to, it's basically the best grades you can get is 1.
Okay, so German one.
It's kind of like the German, but in Germany we have like in between 1 and 2, you could also have like 1.3, 1.7, etc. And here I can only have an A, basically, a 1, or a 2.0, 3.0, 4.0. So
okay. Because in Romania we have it 1 to 10, and the best grade is 10, the worst grade is 1. And everything under 5, you are not passing the exam. And the 5 is the first grade that helps you pass the exam. And I had a colleague which was from Greece, and he got a 6 in the exam, and he went to the professor and said, no, you have to give me a 5. I said, yeah, but what's wrong with you? You have a 6. No. So you have to, please understand me. My mother knows that in Romania the grades are from 1 to 5 because I never managed to get more than 5.
well, that's a hard one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I just remember when you said about grades, I remember about him. Um, the what advice would you give to no, first of all, would you recommend someone to go and study in Prague?
Yes, for sure.
And what would be the if you'd have to give one piece of advice, what would it be?
Don't stress out too much. It's not that deep. Plus, like the professors don't want like they don't want to make you fail. You know, like it's gonna be okay even if they seem really tough. And enjoy the city. Because I think, and that was something I realized a lot of people in my course, because we had at the end of the semester, we organized kind of like we all went to a bar, kind of everything. And I realized with a lot of people, and I felt like I did the same mistake. We were so kind of focused on, okay, we have to like on the studying and this uni part and everything that we, especially, I mean, Prague is also known for, you know, going out. There's a lot of things, and there's a lot of things to do, even like, you know, there's a lot of history, museums, there's like food festivals, and like there's so many things to do. And we could have done more if we weren't stressing out that much, and it was so unnecessary. So my advice would just be to make use of the city, because you're not here because the uni is so great. Like, it's a great uni, but you know, that's not the main selling point why you would want to, I hope, study there, right? So
Enjoy life besides school.
yeah, exactly.
You've been already to Dublin or in Ireland alone. You are in Prague again alone. Yeah, not so alone. You said you have family there, so that means you still have, let's say, a backup that you can fall into. But do you think this trip made you more independent?
Yeah, I think for sure. I think I like Ireland was a big kind of step first, because it was, you know, also my first like own full-time job and everything. So it was kind of the first time where I really had to take care of everything on my own, kind of.
You realize that nobody's washing the dishes, nobody's cooking,
Exactly.
nobody's thinking what to cook today and stuff like this. Yeah.
And like even at uni, I was always very lucky that my parents really supported me. So when I was looking for an apartment, like I was always showing everything to my parents. Okay, what do you think? What is that okay? Okay, is this okay? Kind of all these things. Or like I never dealt with any contracts for like water bills or anything. I've never ever had any idea. Like I was okay, for example, at uni, I was also so lucky that my roommate did stuff. It wasn't, I just paid the money. But so Ireland was kind of the first big step where I kind of had to suddenly do everything on my own, and I really didn't know anyone, even though I've been there for an internship before. Like the people were also just there for an internship, so they weren't there anymore. So I think that was the biggest kind of step for me, also out of my comfort zone, where I learned a lot, and I think also grew a lot as a person. So I think that made it a bit easier coming to Prague. And like you said, I have kind of my security net with my family here as well. Um, so this almost felt like it didn't feel like such a big step anymore. It felt more natural, like kind of, okay, I guess now let's go there. So, and before it was a bit of a bigger deal, I think. So, but it was nice, you know, because that way it was a bit of a softer start, to be fair, also for me. Because when I moved to Ireland, it was I had very little time to when I had to move there. And I think I moved on Sunday, and on Monday was my first day at work and everything. And with Prague, everything, you know, since I was lucky with the apartment that my cousin helped me find it. And I could move in like 2 weeks before the study started. And the weather was beautiful when I moved here. So it was, you know, it was such a chill start. So kind of exploring the city. And I think that made it a bit less frightening, I guess.
Dear expats wannabe, that's the demo version. That doesn't exist in real life.
Yeah, fair enough.
No, but
Real version in Ireland.
yeah,
So it was
yeah.
nice to compare.
No, absolutely, and absolutely, and Julia, don't get me wrong. It's really good to have someone there. It's really good to be able to answer, I don't know, questions like, will I have furniture in my apartment? Will I not have furniture in my apartment? What should I look for when I look for an apartment? Like these basic things, even
'Cause,
to help you.
yeah, in Ireland, for example, I really like I had a nice apartment, but I paid way too much finding. And I only found out after I already signed, of course, like a 1 year lease and everything. So it was, and I think those are things. Even if I learned from the mistakes in Ireland. So even if I'd be looking for an apartment in Prague, I kind of knew a few things to look for. But then I think everywhere it's still kind of different. So I was really happy that I kind of had someone I could trust. They knew the person whose apartment it is because they knew who rented it before, so they knew it would be free. So it
I,
was nice.
I'm always saying that if I would have bought stocks to the Swedish furniture store instead of buying furniture, I would be a multimillionaire. Until now, as much money I gave for furniture because of moving. So
Yeah.
it's exactly that's why I'm saying all good. I'm just joking, but
No,
it's perfect when it's happening like this.
yeah, a little bit of luck sometimes.
Absolutely, absolutely. This is a part of the deal. Is there a particular experience that shaped you the most, that gave you a good lesson since you are there? Let me put it in the negative way.
Mm-hmm. Mm, I think, and if something then that would have been in Ireland already.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's about kind of also safety wise, being careful, really also like in the evenings and everything, like things you know you shouldn't do. And I think I've always been kind of careful about like not walking home alone in the evenings or something. But and I've even heard like stories from people getting robbed in Dublin and everything. So I was already kind of careful, but still, I was like, okay, it's like such a short distance, and I'm just gonna go there, and then I can take a taxi. And then, I mean, I was lucky because basically before anything real bad could happen, like people intervened and helped me before when the kind of person was kind of starting to act up weird. But that was a very uncomfortable situation. So I did kind of learn that even just even if you think like the people around you can like seem like the nicest people, there's always gonna be bad people around. So don't push your luck. Basically, just rather be safe than sorry. And I think, because also in Prague, I hear from a lot of people like, oh, I feel so safe. Like, I've never had any bad experience. And I think that's good, but don't push your luck, I guess, Still, be careful in the evenings. You never know. I mean, even if it's kind of just things like pickpocketing in the big cities, it's always like gonna be something. And so that was kind of, and I think that's like a good thing Dublin taught me, because like a lot of these things have happened to me or friends and family, like, and it's just like also the wallet got stolen or the phone got ripped out of your hand and the people and things like that. Just kind of, so be a bit more kind of conscious of your surroundings, I think. Um, yeah, because just because you've never had a bad experience, let's let it stay that way.
Overconfidence is something which is kind of dangerous, because it's good to have it in some instances, but not always, and you have to be really careful and mindful about what's happening around you. And I'm sorry for that, but I'm happy that nothing worse happened. But that's always hard. Even if you are close to it, it's also hard because you think, oh, I dodged the bullet, and I dodged the
Yeah.
bullet really really close by. I think the discussion with safe, which I hear a lot from the guests that I had that were coming from US,
Mm.
it has a different perspective. And I think that's the guns perspective because
Okay. Yeah.
the discussion I had with Mariko, I had with Kevin, Kate, I had with everyone that was coming from US, and they were all saying the same. I feel so safe. There are no school shootings.
Yeah. That's. I mean, yeah, that's a totally different thing there. That's true.
Exactly. um, you said the university is kind of hard. When do you have time to work as well?
Yeah. No, I mean, I made my life a bit easier this semester, with my electives as well. I learned from my bachelor's that sometimes it's better to strategically choose your classes instead of looking what sounds the most interesting, because those things I thought were the most interesting also ended up to be the most boring one in the end. So I didn't think I'd miss something. No, so I'm really lucky right now. So I have basically just classes from Tuesdays to Thursdays. So I basically have 4 days a week where I can really focus on my work. Um, yeah, so last semester was a bit trickier. Um, but even there, like, with good time management, kind of, I think it's always practical for me to have like some kind of commitment in the mornings,
Mm-hmm.
so that I'm kind of forced to, even if I don't have the classes, any class to go to kind of have to get going, get some movement maybe, or like just start the day. And so last semester, for example, I had morning classes and then the whole day free. And I learned from kind of how I should improve my time management from last semester, to be very honest. I am a big procrastinator, unfortunately. Which is very unfortunate if I also want to have like good work and good grades. So, but I do get better. So,
I love honest people. I like it. I love it. I love it. I say that as well. So
but I mean, it's gotten better. So I really, I think I created my system. So already last semester, I just have my planner with kind of color coding it a little bit. What has to be done by when, which helped me do it last minute. But now I kind of added a few was really have been trying to, if I have assignments for uni, get them done as soon as possible. So, and with that, instead of, how you sometimes get home from a like long day at uni and you just want to lie down. But I know if I lay down, I will not get up again. So, kind of finding a bit of a structure that works for you, I think. I'm lucky that I think I can work very well in the evening. That's kind of my most productive time. So since I only have the 3 days of classes, and on one of the days I even like my classes don't start until 11. So that is really good for my kind of sleep schedule and productivity kind of. And I mean, it sounds so cliche, but I do enjoy my work. That's, I mean, one of the reasons why I wanted to start. I've been like thinking about doing this. Like I'm doing a little bit of marketing now, basically. And I've been thinking about doing it for like a long time. So it's exciting for me to do it. It's like my own little project. And depending on the task, if it's kind of nothing you really have to think too much or do, how you sometimes just have these very repetitive you can still kind of combine it with things that help you relax, I think. Like I will just put on a TV show or something in the background. And that way I still, like I said, like I think right now I have quite a good routine where I also have to say feel like I get a lot of things done without feeling stressed. Because last semester was, awful, but right now I'm not knocking on wood, but it's kind of working out right now.
May I ask, social media marketing, if I may ask?
Yeah, social media and but also since like in Ireland I worked for Google with Google Ads, so I also do Google Ads mainly based and then also some social media. Yeah.
Nice. That's a really nice topic. I absolutely out of the blue question. What's your background show that you watch?
It changes. I have a few ones. It's always the like things I already know, so that because
Exactly. That's what I'm asking.
that's what I think that's one of the things that even like I used to do when I was studying in my bachelor's. I even had the background show, and people like. It's nice that you get it, because a lot of people just look at me confused, like, how can you have the TV? You can't focus. I'm like, I can if I know the show, if I know what's gonna happen. So, well, I have a few go-tos. Right now I'm watching Grey's Anatomy. Yeah.
Okay.
And one of my go-tos is Big Bang Theory. So, I think that was one of the main ones. What was another one? I'm forgetting one. I don't know. And then sometimes even, no, what is it? It's changing. I don't know. It's sometimes, how I scroll through reels or something and I see a clip from a show. I'm like, oh my God, I totally forgot about it. Maybe I should watch that again.
Because I get it, because I have also two of them. I have friends.
I would have bet money on it.
I'm old. What can I do?
Yeah, I think that's also very typical, but I have to admit I've never seen it. So I know. But and I really want to, but I don't have time to start a new show.
Exactly. Makes sense.
Well,
Yeah.
I
I have friends, and I have the Big Bang Theory as well. Unfortunately, young Sheldon didn't get that far, but I watched it, but it didn't end up to be a background show. But come on, Friends, I'm still laughing out loud. I'm still laughing out loud. It's not smiling. No. I'm still like I have a brain worm from the Big Bang Theory with Happy Saturnalia. When they discuss about Christmas, when Sheldon is explaining the Christmas holiday. So yeah, good moments. I'm sorry for the rant, but I know what you meant when you said background show, and that's why. It's nice that you are doing this finding phase, Julia. I think that's extremely important, and it's extremely important to, by the time you finish university, by the time you finish school, you finish studying, you know what? I know I studied rocket science, but I don't like it anymore. Now I want to do this. And that's the most important. I think it's critical for everyone who's watching this. It's critical to find out what you like. And doing these experiences, just playing around to see, do I like this? Do I don't like this? Do I think that could be something for me? That's the most important part. Has your experience in Dublin influenced how you organized your life, that you decided not to be in Germany until now?
Yes, but
but
yeah, but surprisingly, maybe, but it did show me that I do want to be in Germany.
Correct.
Just not yet. But long term.
That would be my next question. Is Prague the final stop?
I think for now it's great, but I do like I think it's already a nice, what I always, what I didn't like about living in Dublin was I'm like a big family person, and just the fact it's not far away in terms of you can just like 2.5 hours on the plane and you're there, and there's like a really good connection too. Didn't live far away from the airport. I don't live far, or my family doesn't live far away. So it's not that it takes a long time, but just the fact that I knew if I wanted to see them, I was always reliant on an airplane. I didn't like that. I liked in Prague knowing if anything would happen, or if like for some reason I really needed to go back home, I could just kind of get a car and drive through and be there in a few hours. And so I know long term, like, I do want to be closer to my family. And yeah, that's in Germany. But for now, I think I'm really happy here.
Do you think there's gonna be another big city in the world after Prague before Germany?
Um, I wouldn't say no, but I mean, I would already be happy if I could kind of just be in another city for even like over the summer, just that. So I was thinking about things like that. Since I'm working remotely anyways, and if like, for example, even this summer, I was thinking, okay, if there's no classes, I just want to focus on my work. Why not look for another city where I can focus on my work for a few weeks, So I do like kind of that flexibility, but of course also but I'm not sure if there will be another kind of longer stop, because it is kind of hard to always have this kind of new start somewhere. In Ireland, it was kind of a good timing to leave as well, because a lot of people I worked with, all my friends who were there, it's kind of not the final destination. So they also all started to leave. So I didn't feel like I left that much behind in this kind of way, because it's not like all my friends are still there. But I think it would be different in Prague, for example. So if I kind of settle a bit now, and then I had to leave again and start from scratch again without knowing anyone anywhere, I think at some point, like I liked this, but at one point I think it would also get a little exhausting. It is hard. I mean, I see it now. It's hard to keep those friendships really alive. Basically, it's a lot of work, and I am trying really hard. Like I'm even like flying to Dublin, for example, next weekend again to see some people, meet some people. But I think at one point I want to focus on what I have already instead of kind of on doing more things. So I guess the next city would probably be closer to my hometown.
I mean, that's cool. It's really important to know exactly, not to know exactly, but to know roughly what you want and try to figure out. I mean, nobody knows exactly how this life thing has to be done, so everybody's winging it. We try to. Julia, amazing. I loved our conversation. I love that I got to know you. I have a set of rapid fire questions at the end.
Okay.
And then I'm looking forward to have my recommendations at the end of the episode.
Sounds good.
What's the first word that comes to your mind when you think of Prague?
Beautiful.
Czech food or German food?
Czech food. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not a clear one, but if I had to decide, it's gonna be the Czech.
So now I have to ask, because I haven't tested now. Which part of Germany are you originally from?
Niederrhein. So
Okay.
Düsseldorf, area.
Because I wanted to ask you about schnitzel mit Spätzle, but it's not the case.
I do like it, but yeah, maybe it's like not as sentimental to me, you know? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
I like schnitzel, but I don't think I'm as obsessed with it as some people are. So yeah. Plus, no, but also in my defense, schnitzel is also a thing in Czechia. So I do have it here as well.
It was the empire which had made a huge influence on Austria, Hungary, and Czech Republic and all the areas. So it's clear. What's one thing you always carry with you in Prague?
My camera.
Nice. I've seen a lot of your pictures on your Instagram account, and I have to say, really nice. If you could live anywhere for a year, where would it be?
A year ago, this would have been really easy to answer. And I would have said New York City for just a year.
I love it. I want to live there for at least 6 months in my life.
See, right? And that was also because for a long time, also to the question you asked before, if there's going to be another kind of city, I always kind of dreamed of living not long term, but for a longer term than just vacation in New York. And I've been like on vacation last year again, and I fell in love with the city again. But right now, everything is a little more complicated, I think. So I am gonna say Sydney.
Nice as well. Really nice. I haven't seen Australia. I've seen US and New York a few times. I love that city. And if you love New York, you have to see Friends.
Yeah, fair enough. I've been told, and I have promised even, like my best friend is also obsessed with Friends, so I do have to see.
Yes, you have to. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received about living abroad?
I mean, it's a very general advice, I think. So it's not just about living abroad, but it does help, like when living abroad. And it is, I'm just thinking how to best translate it. If it's not about your life, kind of, or like if it's not life-threatening, it's basically like it's Czech. It says in Czech když nejde o život, tak jde o, and then insert word of your choice. That's
okay.
So it's basically like if it's not concerning your life, like if it's not hurting your life, as in like physically everything, if it's not like it's not that deep, basically. So I think that is something I remind myself a lot, because I think it's easy to get caught up in, especially worrying. I think it's the best advice when you worry a lot.
And you overthink a lot?
Exactly. So
I like to put it in a different way, but it's somehow saying the same. And I heard this quote a few times, and I learned to love it. And it's the worst thing that ever happened to you is the worst thing that ever happened to you. Like,
yeah, that's nice. Yeah. And it's like life goes on.
Exactly. Yeah. Julia, you speak English, you speak German, you speak Czech, and you speak English. When you talk to yourself, what's the language that you use?
A mix. It really depends on the topic. I have like certain phrases I only ever like say in Czech, and even when I talk like to my boyfriend, I have to really be like, okay, can't you, like, because he's German, I'm like, okay, wait. So unfortunately also I have a huge problem with Denglish. I think I got better in terms of it's not as badly mixed up anymore, because my brother bullied it out of me, I think. So but yeah,
to quote a famous German saying, None, 9 von 10 Personen finden Bully okay. 9 out of 10 people is finding is saying bullying is okay.
Yeah.
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 Sorry.
No, but yeah, I think like the main language for me is still German, to be fair. But there are some sentences I've always kind of that's just unnatural to me in the Czech, especially when it's kind of these things at home kind of happening. So when you say talk to myself, things at home, and that kind of fits. And of course, it's getting a bit more now that I'm also actually surrounded by more Czech kind of, so that I hear it every day. And I think my English, unfortunately, is this very bad social media Denglish. So, or like business. I'm really, because also I studied in English. I worked in an English-speaking country. So I sometimes feel very stupid if I have to explain something about work in German. I'm like, okay, you can't talk like the cliche Gen Z now, please. So
I
that makes
the most amazing two jokes that I know about the English were told by a work colleague of mine. Hi, Eki, if you see this. And it was the guy going into Dublin and ordering. Do you know it?
I don't think so.
And you can only understand if you speak English and German. And he's going to a restaurant and he's saying, "I will become the schnitzel."
Yeah. Yeah. Go on. Yeah.
and, and the other one was with the submarines, the English and the German one, when the English was
We are
saying,
thinking.
"We are thinking, what are you thinking about?"
Yeah.
Sorry again for interrupting you.
I love it.
So it's a mixture of all of them. And when you swear, which is the language to go? I know you don't swear. I know that's the official version.
I actually don't swear that much, I think. I mean, like you said before, like shit is not a big, like in Germany. So I think that is like, it's prob honestly, I think when I'm in Germany, I kind of try to do it in Czech if I swear. And here I'm swearing in German, which is kind of only working partially because a lot of Czech people do understand German or like a bit of it at least. So they still know what I'm saying, kind of, or at least that it's nothing good. But yeah, I try to mix it up. Yeah.
Nice. We finished the rapid fire questions. I love this talking to yourself thing. This is something which is bothering me because it's starting to be mixed up, and I always thought that Romanian will stay the only language that I will use for that, and then no, it's not, and then I'm bothered by that. I'm really bothered by that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're surrounded 24/7 by a certain language, I think it's inevitable that it's somehow creeping into your mind. So.
My son, I love my son because he's speaking English. I'm never able to explain why his main language is English. Please don't ask. There is no reason. There is no normal reason. And he asked us a few days ago. So we are from Romania, living in Germany. Why do I speak English? I said, I have no idea.
Great.
I don't know. Julia, before we wrap it up, could you be so kind and make a song/band recommendation for me? How should you say it for me?
That's an easy one.
Taylor Swift.
Summer is my absolute favorite band of all time.
5
Seconds of Summer.
I don't know if I know them.
It's an Australian band, and they've been around for more than 10 years, I think. They do with pop, punk, rock things, but have changed a bit now. But I really like them. It's especially also the newer kind of. It's felt like growing up with them. Every kind of part, like when I was younger, the music fitted exactly my taste, and now it fits, like, so I can kind of like grow up with them. Or another one, not since you live in Germany, it has to be a German one as well. And fun fact, he's gonna come on tour to Prague in December, so I am excited about that. It's Shiagu. Do you know him? Shiagu. He does like a bit of kind of party songs. I really like his songs because he has a lot of German puns in his songs. So you can really have to listen for them. But if you like, I think that is quite entertaining.
I
Like,
was
bullshit,
expecting
but still, it's.
I was expecting, I don't know, Sido, but I was expecting something. But
I think I'm too young to recommend to you Zito. You know, like I think I need, yeah. I didn't. I'm sorry, but I do like him. But it's his, I did. Yeah.
this was until now. It was a nice conversation. I
So,
have to say, it was.
not that I'm, like, because I listen to him, but I think when it comes to actively recommending him
Yeah, for
his
sure.
songs, because like I think the songs, most of them are already a bit older, right? So,
I've seen. So it was him. The guys that I've kind of get to. I was a rap fan always, and Sido was a. It went and directly under my skin from the first time. Most probably because I'm old. Thank you.
no, I
I'm
can
just
hear
joking.
that. I
I
can
don't
hear
know.
it as
Yeah.
well. This is what's top of my
But
mind.
but it was now I don't remember his name and I'm so sad. He was singing with Sido, Astronaut, the guy with
Was it Mark Foster?
Mark Foster, exactly. So he's also and he's not rap. He's a different kind of music, but I still like it. So I think I have to say, after you know the language, German music is really cool.
I do like it as well.
After you speak the language, before you speak the language, you think,
Yeah, fair enough. I
yeah,
mean, that's true. Maybe one more, I think that very new artist, German artist though, that's a little bit kind of in this also, Mark, well, not, but is Zartmann. I don't know if he has a lot of songs yet, to be honest, but he has some really nice.
I will check it out. I don't know it. What about a movie recommendation?
That's harder because I'm very undecisive when it comes to things like that. I mean, one of my all-time favorite movies is Hachiko, but it's a hard one to watch. So, I do like Interstellar.
Also not an easy one to watch.
Sure, just the music already is just
Yeah.
incredible.
And the story.
Exactly, I totally forgot how great it is because I watched it in the movies when it came out. And then, like last year or something, my friend dragged me to this when it was shown in cinemas again because she said it's his favorite. I was like, it's all right, I think. And I totally forgot how great it is. Um, I think with movies, my problem is it changes a lot because I always have like phases. I have comfort movies, but I would not say they are they are the best movies. So
But I have to ask you one thing. I'm sorry again for it. I interrupted you so many times
no,
tonight.
no.
Julia, please. Sorry. As a born and raised German, do you watch English speaking movies in English or do you prefer the German dubbing?
I watch them in English. Yeah.
That's the only way.
Yeah. I think I also really like German movies. So if I want to watch something in German, I'm gonna watch a German movie. I watched in the cinemas recently Der Buchspazierer, I think it's called. I loved it. It was so nice.
Have you seen the Kangaroo Chronicles?
I love them. I love them. They're one of my favorites.
I
Yes.
cannot explain to my Romanian and English speaking friends how good is that movie.
Yeah,
How good are those books?
I love it's that is exactly my kind of humor. I'm just like, honest, yeah.
I would like to have the Whopper. Yeah, but we are here at McDonald's, and yeah, okay, then I would like to have the Whopper. Yeah, but I, for anyone who never seen, or I don't know if I have no idea if they are translated in English,
I'm not sure
at
either.
least the books, but I cannot recommend them enough.
But I also think the author, like Mark Uwe Klinger, I think is it right? The way like I love also listening to him read it. Cause just like the voices and everything, it's so great. And I'm not a big like audiobook listener or something, but this I love it.
I'm listening to a lot of audiobooks. But this one was a special, again from Aki. Again, hi Aki, if you see this. But I had it again from Aki because I discussed a lot with him about audiobooks. I'm listening to English audiobooks. I said, you have to listen this in German. I said, man, I was at the beginning of my German knowledge, let's say it like this, and said, no. Take this, trust me. That's such a good decision, such a good recommendation. And how he's reading and how he's making it was hard for me to watch the movie because I was missing that voice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Talking about books, the book recommendation.
Ooh, also a hard one. Okay, no, one of my favorites is Normal People. It's from Sally Rooney. She's an Irish author. I'm also currently reading another of her books, and a little extra kind of Easter egg for myself, kind of when reading it always, or like most of the time, it plays in Dublin, and she describes everything very like look geographically very specific. Oh, he walks down this street and then this street, and it's always it's I don't know, for me it's always like, oh, I know where it is. So, but I also really like her stories. So Normal People is one of my favorites. But I do like to kind of switch up genres. So it's hard, hard to kind of really pinpoint. For example, I also love these kind of things like Hunger Games and these kind of book series.
Fantasy.
Yeah. So, I mean, not necessarily kind of these, like the ones that are trending right now. I do like the older kind of dystopian stuff. It really, yeah, if I had to pick one, maybe another one, and which is non-fictional that I really like is, I'm not sure if it's a German book. I have it in German at least. It's 50 sentences that will make your life easier, and it is it basically has very short chapters, one chapter for each of these sentences. And it's really nice, like whenever I am like some situation is bothering me or anything, can just like take a look at the sentences, see what sounds fitting and read it. And I'm not even sure if she's like a psychologist or something, but it's kind of going into this direction of what I said before, this life advice, like if it's not one, like you said, the worst thing that happened to you is worst. And it's also sentences like one of them that really stuck with me was, who gets to make me mad or something like that. Or like only me gets to decide who makes me mad or things like that. So I really like that book. And I always have it kind of close by to go back into it when something happens and read about it. And
it helps as a reality check, right?
Yeah, well, absolutely. Kind of a good reminder.
I had you said about grades and about the fact that you had a lot of pressure because of the grades, and I just while you described this sentence in the book about these 50 sentences to make your life easier, I remember about the recommendation from one of the episodes, but I did read it before the recommendation, and it's a really good book to read in this. In the continuous grinding mentality that we have around us. Everyone is pushing for more, everyone wants more, and it's never enough. It's the book is called Die with Zero. I don't know if you know it. I can't recommend it enough. It's just again a reality check that makes you understand that there is only one thing which is safe, which is for sure happening in this life, and that's dying. Everything else it's subject to change. And it's an amazing book. It's not long, it's not hard to read, it's a really easy book, makes you think a lot.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out then. Thanks for the recommendation.
You're welcome. Not requested recommendation. Julia, the last question. Where is home?
Where the family is.
Nah. I keep saying it's not a place, it's a feeling.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, because I also think home can be more than one places. And actually, it's not just like it is where the family is, but it also is like I feel home here, but also because I feel like what's the word? I'm like angekommen.
Arrived.
Yeah, yeah.
You belong, a feeling of belonging.
Yes, like I have like my stuff in the apartment. I have it like it's just the small details kind of. I know where to get my favorite like coffee, what's my favorite spot, all these little things, and it's sometimes even hard to pinpoint what exactly it is, because even in Ireland, for example, like I had two different apartments, and I would say in one I felt much more at home than in the other one. And it wasn't because I wasn't even living longer on one or the other, but it's just sometimes it is also what's happening around how you feel at that time, I guess.
There are a lot of words in German that cannot be translated, Julia, and I realize that more and more every day. And my favorite word still is mitdenken. Because I don't have an English word that can say exactly that.
Yeah.
And I think the problem is that it's missing a lot these days. So
Yeah, that's a good. I've never thought about it that it's not that it's just a German word. But sure, yeah, that's a good one.
Because you cannot say think with. That doesn't sound good, but it says so much in one word, so much.
Yeah.
Julia, I enjoyed the hell out of this conversation.
Yeah, me too. It was really, really fun. Thank you.
It was fun for me as well. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to know you and to tell your story. It was amazing. It was so nice.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you for your time, and I hope that either from the next big station, either from when you are home, you give me a mail when you want to do this again, and I'm more than happy to do it.
For sure. Thank you. Enjoy your evening then.
Thank you. The same for you. Bye-bye.
See ya. Bye.
See ya.